What is the date? Today is October 22nd, the day after the election. Riley, you got your notes out? Everybody's got their notes out, or you can use some scrap paper if you need. So we say that the square root of 9 is 3 because when you're doing the square root of a number, you're looking, is there a number that multiplied by itself is equal to 9? And that number is 3. So the way that we write it, okay, this is the hardest part, is you learn this symbol. How many of you have seen that symbol before? Okay? Yes? So we write square root of 9 is asking, is what number times itself is equal to 9? 3. Some of them are easy. Some of them we need a calculator for. For example, I'll do another one, see if you can figure out square root of 25. 5. But what about the square root of 5? 2.5. Check out your calculator. It's good. I like it because it's half of 5. 2.5 times 2.5. Anybody have their calculator handy? Oh, I'll do it in my head. 2.5 times 2.5 is 6.25. Close to 5, but not quite right.
Thank you, Justin.
It was a really good estimate.
Did you say?
Does it make sense that since 2 times 2 is 4 and 3 times 3 is 9, that 2.5 was a good estimate? It has to be somewhere between 2 and 3. The only way to figure this out, well, there is a very complicated math way to figure it out that they don't even teach students anymore. When you get to square root of 5, they just say, please go to your calculator, type it into your calculator. If sometimes you have, like, do you know that I like math, right? Have I kind of shown that a little bit this year? Just a little, okay? So, yes, I like math, and this is a weird thing that I have the square root of 5 memorized. Is that a weird thing? Okay, but we'll check it. I have 2.236. Let's see if my memory is still good. You can go to your calculator, square root sign, push 5, see how close I was. 2.236. Oh, I forgot the 0.067977, and it keeps on going forever. Whew. It's an irrational number. Remember when we talked about some square roots are irrational numbers? Not all of them, because square root of 9 simplifies to 3. That makes it a rational number, a natural number, a whole number, an integer. If a number is the product of 2 equal rational factors or 2 equal numbers, then it's called a perfect square. 9 is a perfect square because it's 3 times 3. 5 is not a perfect square because you can't have 2 nice numbers multiplied to get it. But 16 is a perfect square because it's 4 times 4. 6.25 that we saw is a perfect square because it's 2.5 times 2.5. Okay, here is a list of the first perfect squares that are nice whole numbers. Why is 1 a perfect square? Because it's, what times what is 1? 1 times 1 is 1, so 1 is a perfect square. What would be the next one on here if I wanted the next natural number that's a perfect square? What would come after 25? After 25. 4 is easy. After 1, I mean, it's up here on the board already, like 36. Good. What's the next one? Okay, Luke's out. He's not allowed to answer anymore. What's the next one? You can do it in your head, but you're not allowed to say it out loud. No, 56 is 7 times 8. What's the next one after 49? 64. Now Justin's out. He's not allowed to say anymore. What's the next one? Yeah. Yeah. You can do it in your head. What's the next one after 64? Luke and Justin are out. Right? This is 1 times 1. This is 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8. It's not 71. 81. 9 times 9, 81. Bobby's out. Next one. Oh. 100. And you could keep going. 11 times 11. Does anyone know 11 times 11? 121. Does anyone know 12 times 12? 144. Anybody know 13 times 13? 169. 14 times 14? 196. 15 times 15, 225. 16 times 16, 256. 17 times 17, 289. 18 times 18, 324. Whew. Okay. I think I've got them up to like 30 something.
19 times 19,
361, you bet. Okay, those are our perfect squares. A square root is represented by this symbol that we've talked about already. So when we see the square root of 4, we say, oh, that's equal to 2. All right, Logan, what's this one? You can't see. Your name's not Logan.
Come on, Logan. Let's go, Logan.
Right, so square root of 81, we're asking what times what is 81? 9 times 9, so the square root of 81 is 9. Perfect, here's another one. Logan, you pick someone to answer this one. Who are you going to pick? You pick someone, Logan, to answer this one. Sorry? Who did you pick? Aiden. You got chosen to solve this one. Square root of 36 is? 6. Perfect. One easy one, one you might need a calculator for. You write them down, I'll check them on your paper so you don't say them out loud. Oh, you don't have your scrap paper anymore. Good.
Got it. I remember what you said.
You remember what I said? That second one, you might need a calculator. It is. Good, everybody got this one. This was the easy one, 9. This one was a little bit harder. You might need your calculator. It's 15. All right. Evaluate these ones if possible. Again, you can check with your calculator. There's an order of operations. You know how you do BEDMAS? You still do BEDMAS, but you have to do square roots before you multiply. So I don't know if we want to put an S in front of BEDMAS. It's a BEDMAS. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. You can do a negative out front, but you can't do a negative inside. So I'm going to tell you, if you try this one on your calculator, this one's not going to be possible. But that one is, because you do the square root first. What's the square root of 1? 1. And so this one just becomes minus 1. Square root of 400? Is it possible?
No, I just forgot my calculator.
Oh, forgot your calculator. Pretend to type it in. Here we go. type it in. Square root. Yeah. 400. 400. Enter. 20. Good job. All right. All right. Next one. Probably need your calculator. Good. Unless you can do the mental math. Square root of 25 is 5. And if you did 50 times 50, those two zeros would get added on to the end, gives you 2,500. Well, here are some more notes that's a little bit bigger. I'm going to make this bigger so you can easily see. It's perfect squares with fractions and decimals. So the perfect squares that we went up to right now, the perfect squares that we went up to right now is something you would have done in middle school, seen regular numbers like 16 and 25 and 36. In grade 9, we also look at perfect squares as fractions. So for example, 4 over 9 is a perfect square because it's what fraction times what fraction? How do we multiply fractions? See, even though we're done fractions, it comes back again and again and again. What times what is 4? 2 and 2. What times what is 9? 3 and 3. So since 2/3 times 2/3 is 4/9, we would say that 4/9 is a perfect square. I'm trying to think of as a decimal, 0.1 repeated. Do you remember how to change decimals back to fractions? What's 0.1 repeated equal to? Put it over 9. Excellent. It would be 1 over 9. And would you agree that 1 times 1 is 1? Yes. What number would be on the bottom here?
1.
Oh, oops.
So 0.1 repeated is a perfect square because it is equal to 1/9, and 1/9 can be 1/3 times 1/3. So if you can make both the numerator and the denominator perfect squares, then the fraction will be a perfect square. Nice. Okay. Everybody done this? Not yet? I'll wait. Okay, 6.25. I showed you before that 6.25, if you went to your calculator and did the square root, it's equal to 2.5. If we wanted to change 6.25 to a fraction, do you agree that it's 6 1/4? And 6 1/4, that's a mixed fraction. That's equal to 6 times 4 is 24 plus 1, 25 over 4. Agreed? And 25 over 4 is pretty easy to figure out what times what makes 25 over 4 if it has to be the same. Because what times what makes 4? 2. 2. And what times what makes 25? 5. And 5. Okay? And so the answer to the square root of 6.25 as a fraction is 5 divided by 2, or 5 over 2. If you take 5 and cut it in half, what do you get? 2.5. Okay? I'm going to say that mental math-wise, working in decimals, this is very hard, unless you have it memorized. If you have the square root of 6.25 is 2.5 as a decimal memorized, easy. right? But if you don't have it memorized, the math is really hard, right? I can give you another one, and then you'll be like, I don't know what this is. But if you can change it to a fraction, and you have skills with working in fraction, the math isn't actually that bad. To figure out 6 1/4 is 25 over 4. That works out perfectly to be 5 over 2 times 5 over 2, and then you can change that 5 over 2 back to a decimal, and you can figure it out. Would you like another one that's hard? Oh, you can't see the wording? Sorry. How hard should I make it? Let's do the square root of 2.56. Whew. That's a 5. So is that one? No, I'm not going to do. Yeah, 2.56. That's what I'm going to do. So this would be as a fraction 2 and 56 over 100. Could you reduce 56 over 100? Yes, you could divide it by 2 and get 28 over 50. And then you could divide it by 2 again and get 14 over 25. 2 and 14 over 25. Okay, I'm going to erase this one. Oh, this is fun. Sorry, you can just watch me do math because I'm having too much fun. So if I have 2 and 14 over 25, can you see that 2 and 14 over 25 would be as an improper fraction? 225 is 50 plus 14, 64 over 25. 64 over 25, can you write it as something times something? Well, what's 25? 5 times 5 and 8 times 8. So the square root of 2.56 is the same as 8 over 5, which is the same as, oh, so much fun. 8 over 5, I'll write it up here, is 1 3/5. 1 3/5 is the same as 1 6/10. So if I want to change this back to a decimal, it's 1.6. All of that figuring out something that if you ask your parents what's the square root of 2.56 in their heads, they'll look at you and go away, I'm making supper, or something like that. You know, they might say that to you all the time, but now in particular, they'll tell you to go away. But now you can see that if you have work with fractions, some of these things you can do. Okay, have a good rest of your day.